All right. Well, hello. I am Becky Teresa, and if you are watching this video, it's because you either purchased the Receive and Reign planner or you are thinking about purchasing it and you wanted to see what it was all about. So today I'm going to be walking you through the planner, and I'll probably split this video into two parts. So we'll probably do like kind of the first portion of the planner, and then we'll go into like the weekly and the daily pages in the next video. So if you're looking for that specifically, go ahead and head on over to the next video. But I'm going to do like the most of the explaining and the philosophy and the architecture behind why the daily pages and the weekly pages are structured as they are in this video. So without further ado, let's get started. So let me share my screen here with you guys and we can get started. So, okay, so this is the very first page in your Receive and Reign planner. It's the Life Mastery Planner for the Sovereign Feminine. And in essence, I created this planner because I've been using planners for, gosh, 18 years-ish. I've used all kinds of planners, all kinds of goal setting systems, productivity systems, you name it. I've used so many of them. Um, and I really was looking for something that was just more adapted to the feminine and how the feminine works. And, I think we're in an era where we're really honoring the feminine and her flow and her hormones and her cycles. And so I really felt like I wanted something in my planner system that honored that was less bro productivity, and not to like throw shade on any of that because it's valuable and it's needed, and it definitely has its place in the world. But for me personally, I just wanted something that spoke more to my feminine soul. And so you're going to see how I use a lot of language to kind of like rewire my mind to go into ease and less into hustle, more into flow and less into go, go, go. I just felt like it's a little bit easier on my system than some of the words that we're typically used to seeing in a planner, in a goal setting system. So, in essence, this planner is the daily implementation of a goal setting system that I created called the Receive and Reign Life Mastery for the Sovereign Feminine. And that is a program on its own. It's a 15-week program. It's a group coaching program that I offer. And if you want more information about that, I will put it in the description box below. But this planner can stand on its own. So if you haven't done that program, if you don't want to do that program, that's totally fine. You can still use the planner as a standalone. So let's get into it. Okay, so that was the first page. In this next page, this is probably where you saw to come to this video. This is the little QR code that I put to come to this particular series that I'm making. And so it's basically just a thank you, and kind of just telling you how special it is to me that in your hands you have the very first edition, the only one that will ever be first. And it just came from my soul. It came from my heart and what I needed for myself, and what truly, truly helped me in what's turned out to be a very difficult stage of my life that I'm just coming out of and really healing from. And so this system and this planner just really helped me to overcome so many things in this more relaxed, feminine way. And so I just want to thank you for being part of this sacred beginning with me. And, only a few of you will ever have this very first edition. And so it's pretty exciting to me, and it means so much to me. So thank you. Okay. And then I also put in here the links to work with me one-on-one. If you want me to help you set up this planner just one-on-one, I do offer that 5 consecutive days, 5 45-minute calls. I'll work with you one-on-one to help you set up the plan. And that's just to be able to book that, I have that link there. And then also that same link will take you to information about the full 15-week program that includes an in-person event, all the things. Pretty exciting. So Anywho, let's get into this first spread. Now, this first spread is essentially the main architecture of my system, of this planner. This is what keeps you going. This is what this is what keeps the planner balanced or your life balanced. This is what kind of the goal setting system that kind of builds upon itself to create this very holistic, flowing system. And so I basically have it laid out in two different ways. So we have the pyramid structure, and then we have the Metatron's cube structure. And so this one we call the sacred temple path because you are going up the path up to your crown design. And then this one we call the sacred flow because it shows how all of these chambers, we call them chambers, within inside the program, because your life, your soul is your temple, right? Your body, your soul, your oversoul, your entire life is what we're going to call your temple of being and your temple of authenticity, right? And so within that temple, we have different chambers. And so all 12 of these categories are chambers, and they all culminate into your crown design, which is kind of like the 13th step, the 13th chamber, if you will. But it's really just kind of where everything comes together is your crown design, which is here at the top of the pyramid and then here in the center of Metatron's cube. So we're going to start with the pyramid structure and for the sacred temple path, because this is kind of like the simplest way to look at it, let's just say. So everything builds upon the previous life category or chamber, if you will. So the chamber of radiant vitality is going to be your health. And now there's like descriptions for this. Obviously, we go into depth in the 15-week program, but I do have descriptions for each of these since they're not super obvious when you first get into the system. There is small descriptions here in this next page. But for now, radiant vitality is your health. And that's like the foundation, right? If we don't have a mechanism, a body that is functioning well and healthily and allows for us to be able to run the rest of our lives, right? Then we don't really can't really function on any of these other categories. So we have to start with health. And so health is kind of this foundational step here at the bottom of the pyramid. And then from there, we have embodied wisdom, which is your mind, your intellect. And then emotional alchemy is our emotions, obviously. How are we alchemizing our emotions? Then we have soulful integrity. This is going to be like how like in truth, how are you living in truth with what you believe, right? How are you living out the characteristics, the archetypes, and like developing those within you and staying with integrity and living those out, right? So that character. Then we have your spiritual alignment, so your spirituality. We have your energetic awareness, which is your energy, your vibration. How are you caring for and nurturing your energy and your vitality, your frequency? And then, so those are all of the inner categories, what we're going to call our inner categories. These are your inner world. These are all things that are just within you and you alone. The next set of categories at the top of this pyramid are things that are outside of you. Okay, and so we're going to build upon those. So the very first one outside of you is loving devotion. So this is going to be your romantic partnership. This is going to be, your marriage. And so that is the first one. And then we have nurturing legacy, which is motherhood, parenting, nurturing. So if you're not a mom, that's okay. We still nurture a lot of people and things in our lives as women. That's, such a gift that we have. And then the next one is kindled connection. So this is our social life. This is extended family. And then we have magnetism and abundance, which obviously is our financial life, our financial health. Then we have divine passion. This is going to be your career, your business, or your philanthropy. Anything that is just that divine passion that we have within us, that we want to share with the world. And then finally, at the very top, we have living beautifully. So this is going to be your lifestyle. This is going to be like, like your dreams for your home or your car or, your clothes, your closet, your all those types of things, like the lifestyle type stuff. That's what we're going to call living beautifully. And so once we have all of those things laid out, then at the end, we have our crown design, and we kind of bring all of that together and we bring it out into one manifesto, one mantra, and we call that our crown design. And that's kind of like your mantra for the year that we put together. And we walk again through this in the 15-week program, but there is definitely like quick, kind of just um, I don't want to say like surface level ways, but like just a quick, easy way to get you going. We can definitely do that so that you can start using this planner and be able to use all these categories as they're intended. Okay, so then the next diagram here that we call the sacred temple flow. So this is using Metatron's cube to show how none of these chambers, none of these life categories have um, hierarchy over another. And so I know on this one, we're showing how we're building upon them, but I didn't want you to walk away from this particular diagram saying, oh, health is the most important and living beautifully is the least important. I don't believe that. And that is not what I'm trying to show with this diagram. I'm just kind of showing how one thing kind of builds upon the next. But love this one because it shows how everything is truly interconnected and everything kind of works together and everything weaves together to give us a beautiful, healthy, vibrant, and joyful life. All of these things play a part. And and so, if you've studied Metatron's cube at all, if you know anything about the sacred geometry of this particular geometric solid, um, then you can you'll know that, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. You'll know that the circles represent the feminine and that the lines represent the masculine. And so we need the masculine and the feminine balanced in our lives. And so this shows, we have all of these spheres of, of the feminine, and then the masculine kind of connects all of these things to another. But we'll get into that philosophy and a lot of that stuff more in the 15-week program. But for now, I just want you to understand that these inner spheres are your inner world, kind of like these lower categories of the pyramid. And the outer spheres are your outer world. Okay. And then we've also connected them. Oh, also, and then the crown design is in the middle. It brings everything together. But also in this particular diagram, we also begin to see how each of the life categories is connected to a chakra and a divine feminine ascended master or mentor, if you want to call them, that is going to help guide us for those particular categories. So we start here at the bottom with our root chakra. And so each chakra is going to have an inner category and an outer category. So one from here and one from here. And so for our root chakra, obviously this is going to be our health and our money, right? Our financial mastery. And so that is going to be our root chakra, and our mentor for that chakra is going to be Isis. And then for our sacral chakra, we have our emotional health, and we also have our romantic partnership, our loving devotion. That's our sacral chakra, and Hathor is going to be our mentor for that. Then we have in the solar plexus chakra, we have soulful integrity and divine passion, and that is going to be the green Tara, and as our mentor. And then up here we have our heart chakra. So we have spiritual alignment and nurturing legacy, and that is obviously Mother Mary. I mean, who else, right? And so she is going to be our ascended master, our guide for our heart chakra categories or chambers, if you will. Then up next, we have the throat chakra, and that is going to be our energetic awareness and our kindled connections. And that is going to be Mary Magdalene, who's going to be our guide through that. And then in the final chakra of these categories, it's going to be the third eye chakra, and that is going to be Kuan Yin, and she's going to handle or guide us through embodied wisdom and living beautifully. And then finally, our crown design is going to be White Buffalo Woman. That is our crown chakra, and that is in the middle. And obviously, we get into a lot more depth into the philosophy of all of this in that 15-week program. But for now, this is just a really simple way for you to be able to know exactly what we're talking about. You can do your own research and you can kind of come up with your own ideas and all of this on your own. That's why I included it here so that you could take it and run with it if you wanted to. You don't have to join the 15-week program. But obviously, we'd love to have you. So, anywho, let's move on to the next page. So, the next spread is going to be your reigning mantra. So, remember how I said that we do a deep dive into each of these categories, and we like come up with all of our desires for this, all of the resources that we think we like, that we would like, our vision for it, our why, our purpose, our current beliefs, the beliefs that we want to have, how we're going to track how we're doing in these categories. All of those things, we do a deep dive into that in the 15-week program. But for this right here, if you just want to take this planner and run, all I want you to do is just use ChatGPT. It's your very best friend. And so all you're going to do is you say, okay, for my health, for my radiant vitality, these are the things that I want to accomplish. These are my desires. This is my vision. And this is why I want to do it. And then just say, can you come up with a one sentence powerful mantra that I can use throughout the year to remind me, to keep me in line, to keep me accountable, and to encourage me throughout the year. And so you're going to write that one sentence mantra right here for every single one of these categories, because they're going to come in handy later on in the planner. We're going to use them, okay? Because that is the whole idea of this planner, is to keep these things in the forefront of our mind and use them as a tool of encouragement, of inspiration, and to keep us flowing in the direction that we want to go, and not get overwhelmed, and not feel pressured, anything like that. This planner is for you to flow through life beautifully and with intention, in the very best feminine way that you possibly can. So, okay, so the next spread here is the mood board. And this is essentially like for a vision board. So I just use like a little Canon mini that hooks up to my phone, like on Bluetooth. And I just print the Pinterest pictures that I envision for this particular season. And so keep in mind, the planner is a 12-week planner. And so you're going to be able to switch these out every 12 weeks if you decide to continue the planner moving forward. But every 12 weeks, you'll be able to do a new vision board. And so on those Canon pictures, they're like, I want to say they're like about that big. And so I can fit 3 across on like 3 times. So I can fit 9 of those little Canon mini print pictures on here. But of course, you can cut out magazines, or you can cut out, print them out on your regular printer and be able to fit a whole lot more. Okay, so that is what that page is for. Let's move on to the next spread. Okay, so again, this planner is a 12-week planner, and and we all know that we're the artists of our life, right? You are the director, you're the producer, you're the writer, you're the prop manager, you're the costume manager, you're the makeup artist, you're the main actor, you're the supporting actor, you're all the extras, you're everyone in your life, right? You get to write and live your own life, right? And so every 12 weeks, we're going to call it a season in this mini series of this particular lifetime. And so depending on which number planner you have, you're going to write the season here. So mine will be season 2 because I already have season 1 in my current planner. Oh, look, I can show you that this is how I drew those Canon mini print pictures. Hopefully you can see that, because I can't see my camera right now. So anyway, so you can look, see, this is how I filled out those. Hopefully you can see this on the camera, but these 12 boxes right here. So essentially, each one of those boxes represents an episode in this particular season. And so I've kind of given you a little bit of guidance so that we can be focused on getting things done and taking actions that are in alignment and that feel good and that feel joyful, but also giving us opportunity to rest. And so every one of these is just kind of has like a little bit of a hint. If you want to use it, you can just take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Chew the meat, spit out the bones type of thing. You can cover these up if you don't want to do these as episodes. But essentially, episodes 1 through 3 are here. You can plan 3 episodes at a time, or you can plan all 12 episodes at one time, which is what I like to do. And so the first 2 weeks are going to be sprint weeks. So if you're not familiar with sprinting, there's a ton of videos about it on YouTube. But essentially, it's like you're planning a lot of tasks in those weeks and just kind of like really getting some projects done. There's It's just kind of like push weeks type of thing. And so these 2 first weeks we're going to call them sprint weeks. And that is going to mean whatever it means to you. Maybe sprinting to you means like a totally different thing than sprinting does to somebody else. Somebody could be like super, super heavy hustle. And for you, it's like, I'm just doing a few things, and that is sprinting for me. So you get to decide what sprinting means to you, okay? So we have 2 sprint weeks followed by a reset week. And this reset week can be whatever you need it to be. It can be a complete rest week, or it can be like you're kind of resetting after 2 weeks of sprinting. You kind of got stuff all over your desk, or you have to catch up on a lot of emails, or you just need to like do some admin stuff and kind of like just get caught up on other random things and kind of just start resetting and prepping for the next 2 week sprint. So then episodes 4 and 5 are going to be sprint weeks. Episode 6 is going to be another reset week. Then episode 7 and 8 are going to be sprint weeks, and episode 9 is going to be another reset week. And then finally, when we get to episode 10, you're going to have 1 sprint week. And then you're going to have your final week. So this episode 11, you're going to wrap everything up that you intended for this 12-week season. And I should actually backtrack. I should say, if you haven't read the 12-week year, you're probably like, why is this 12 weeks? So essentially, the 12-week year is saying like, hey, what you could accomplish in 12 months, why don't we try and do that in 12 weeks, right? Instead of just dragging it out over 12 months, let's get it done in 12 weeks. And so this is like kind of compacting what you desire to do, and like what you can realistically get yourself to believe, that you desire, and that you can accomplish in 12 weeks. That is what the 12-week planner is all about. Okay, so in this 11th week, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap up our, intentions, all of those aligned tasks that we wanted to do. We're going to try and wrap them up in this particular week. And then we're going to kind of reset and start to set up a little bit for our next 12-week season, because episode 12 is a complete relax and celebrate week. So we need to celebrate in our lives way more often than we do. I think a lot of us have been made to feel selfish or lazy, or whatever labels you want to attach to celebrating is unfortunate. And so I purposefully left week 12 for pure celebration, pure relaxation. If you want to do a vacation, staycation, whatever feels good to you, to celebrate these beautiful 12 weeks that you've just completed. And be able to rest your body, rest your mind, rest your heart, and just truly, truly celebrate that week. So to script these, what I personally do is, because I have all, my 12 categories already done, I just give those, I've been working with ChatGPT on doing all of that. And so it pretty much knows everything. So then I say, okay, over the next 12 weeks, realistically, tell me what I can accomplish every single week. Give me like the tasks, or, what I can do every single week, so that I can stay on track with these desires that I have. And so I give it the pattern. So I say, okay, these 2 weeks are going to be sprint weeks, and these are going to be reset weeks, et cetera, et cetera. I give it all that information, and then I say, okay, now turn it into an episode of my life and script it for me, just in quick 1 paragraph. And then that is what I end up writing here. So each episode has a title, so that I know kind of an idea of what's going to be happening that week. And then in here is where I write that paragraph and kind of just script, storyboard, if you will, what that week is going to look like. And so then I have like a whole 12-week, little series, season with 12 episodes that I know exactly what's going to be happening. And thank you, ChatGPT, right, for helping us with that so that we don't have to come up with that all completely on our own. Now, if you're a great writer and you're a great storyteller, then please write these out yourself and do it yourself. I'm just speaking for myself. I'm an Aries. I like things done very quickly. I don't really have a lot of patience for that kind of stuff. And so I definitely use AI to help me do all these things. But obviously, like they're super, super aligned because I give it everything. And so I wouldn't recommend it unless like you're really doing the deep dive into your desires and it knows exactly what you want and how you want to do it and why you want to do it. Okay, so then this next spread is going to be our Secret Rituals Keeper and Linear Calendar. Now, obviously, most planners are going to have a habit tracker. I decided, I remember I told you at the beginning of the video that I have, that I changed the language on some of these things. And so rather than calling them habits, I am calling them sacred rituals. This is just for myself. And so I put it into the planner because it helps me kind of like have this mindset of like, oh, these aren't habits that I need to stack and that I need to do. And I create these habits and I have to do them for 21 days in order for them to, go into my subconscious and blah, blah, blah. No, like relax, Becky, chill type of thing, right? And so these are sacred rituals that I created based on all of my life categories. And so for each life category, maybe I'll have like several rituals, sacred rituals that I do for my health category. Maybe there's like a skincare ritual, there's a workout ritual, there's a yoga ritual, there's just stretching ritual, or, a teeth ritual or hair ritual, whatever it could be, for all the different categories, you may have rituals that you want to create. And so you can put those here and track them for 4 weeks at a time. Now I redid, like I had it so that I could do new ones or take out old ones every 4 weeks because, sometimes like we like set out to do something and it doesn't really work out. And so rather than like having the same rituals for you to have to do all 12 weeks of the planner, every 4 weeks you can, reset and write out new ones. And so you can have the same ones and just rewrite them out if you want to, or you can write out completely new ones. Now, in this bottom section is more of a linear calendar. And so if you have passion projects that you're working on, whether it's philanthropy or it's your business or, you're a coach, whatever, here's where you can kind of like look forward into the future because here you can put the dates right above here, the numbers of the month, like the date numbers up here. And so you can look ahead and you can say, okay, like for these 2 weeks, I'm going to be working on this video series, or I'm going to be launching this new program, or I'm going to be volunteering at such and such, or whatever. And so you can block those out and you can write exactly what the task is here. So you can kind of have this like a linear calendar view of all your passion project actions that you have going on. And this could also be like appointments or whatever, if you wanted to fill those in here as well. But I mostly like was thinking for projects, kind of like a Gantt chart in a way. I just called it a linear calendar. It just seemed a little bit easier on the ears, you know what I mean, on the mind. And so you have 12 weeks of that. Okay, so that is the final page for that. And then you have a little page of notes right here. And then from there, we get into the monthly pages. So these are pretty straightforward. I usually get here, I'll show you on mine. And now I do have a planner flip through of mine. So you can like really see how I use mine, how I color it, how I fill it with stickers or whatever. So I just get sticker kits from Amazon that have the month and the date dots, these little like circle date dots. And so I just put those little circle date dots on there, and it usually has, the month name. And so I'll put that across here on the side and then just put in the date dots for that particular month. And then here on this monthly graphing, you can graph anything you like. And so if you want to graph your sleep, you want to graph your mood, if you have health things that you want to graph, this is kind of like a free graphing area. I graph my weight, and so I'll put like all the weight numbers here, and just, I put like different ones so that you can track different things within each line. But I just track my weight overall, my weight loss overall, and so that way I can kind of like, ideally it's going down, right? But so I put like all the weight numbers here, and then every day that I weigh myself, I can just put a little dot, and then eventually I'll have a line chart that graphs, uh, my weight tracked all month. But again, you can use that for anything you like. So you do get 4 months of the monthly pages. And even though like 12 weeks is only 3 months, I was like, well, I want to be able to future plan. And so I did give the extra month so that you could future plan and have things in there ready to go for when you get your next planner. Okay, and I think that's it for this video. I'm gonna do I'm gonna get into depth on these weekly pages and the daily pages in the next video. So with that said, let me close this out. Okay. So with that said, I will see you guys in the next video, and I'll go into detail about those weekly and daily pages. And again, in the description of this video, I'll put any links to the 15-week program if you want to join us that for the group coaching, or if you would like to do what I call the Sovereign Spark, which is that 5-day intimate one-on-one. It's just me and you, 5 days, 5 consecutive days, five coaching calls that are 45 minutes each. And I'll walk you through setting up your planner with you. We can do it together. Or, just if you have a specific problem or a specific question, and you have a specific outcome that you'd like, we can work through that together as well. I'm happy to do that. And so all the information for that is going to be linked down below. And if you watch this video because you were interested in the planner and you haven't yet purchased it, I'll put a link to purchase it in the description as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one when we go through the weeklies and the daily pages. Goodbye.